Well, I wasn't sure I was going to make it, but here I am, what's left of me. Hi, everybody. I'm Russ Kane. This is the Midday Show. Yeah, you may have noticed that I don't sound quite the same, look quite the same. Thank you for your endless messages on social media. Yeah, I managed to catch a virus, which has absolutely wiped me out. I don't recommend this virus to anybody. I don't know if it's a COVID variant. I don't know what the hell it is, but whatever it is, you don't want it. Trust me, you really don't want this. Hit me out of the blue. I went last Friday, a week ago in the evening, to Chantal Rickards, who's coming up at 12:30. I went to her birthday party at her home and had a lovely time. Felt great. Saturday morning, I went into Soho and met up with Ray Gelato for a cigar and a coffee, as I do every Saturday. And then, like halfway through Saturday afternoon, I thought, I don't feel great. By Saturday evening, I thought, what the hell? That was it. It has wiped out my week. My apologies to everybody that I was meeting this week, socially, business, my literary agent. People have been so kind, but there we are. Anyway, enough of my it says, hello Russ, how are you? I think you can see and hear how I am, but anyway, the show must go on. When it comes to shows, when it comes to first nights, there is only one man that you want to be next to. The man who will go and get you an ice cream. Who will disappear and come back with a gin and tonic. Who will go and get you the program and then leave you as he goes and networks, because he's like that. He is our very own Fearless. And I know what's coming up, and I can't wait for these three. I can't wait. Our Fearless Theatre Critic, Mr. Jonathan Baz.
Russ, good afternoon. I can only wish you well.
Thank you, JB.
I'm glad that there's the gulf of the internet between us.
Oh, you wouldn't want. I know. I've had a lot of people say, "Oh, don't come near me." Just don't.
But you're looking grand on screen.
Grand. What do you mean? I look 1,000 years old.
So, theatre to talk about this week. 3 shows. It's a bit of a sandwich. That's a sandwich between 2 fabulous shows, and in the middle we've got a filling of something a little less fabulous. But let's start off with some of the good stuff. This is Fawlty Towers, opened in fact a couple of weeks ago in the West End. A show that many thought was unperformable, undoable. How do you translate the magic of what was one of the best, I'm not going to say the best, what was one of the best television sitcoms ever created? How do you translate that onto a stage? I have to say, John Cleese himself, who of course co-wrote the series 50 odd years ago with his then wife Connie Booth, has adapted 3 of his gorgeous episodes from way back then, molded them into a 2-hour show with an interval. And I have to say, as I said in my review, the adaptation itself is a work of art. It works really, really well. For those who know, who can remember the series, the themes that get woven in are the hotel inspectors, Basil wanting to put a bet on at the horse and wanting to avoid Sybil, and of course the ubiquitous Germans, the fire alarm, and the moose's head. So there's an awful lot of stuff there, which for people of a certain age is ridiculously familiar. But what's also speaks so well about the show is I've heard young audience members who aren't familiar with the TV series at all just talk about what brilliant comedy it is and how it has transcended beyond the television onto being a very good farce. Indeed, if you look at the horse racing episode where Basil is looking to put a bet on with Sybil not knowing, of course the horse comes. I'll try not to be too many spoilers. The horse comes in, Polly gives him the cash, and you then have this glorious farce within a farce of Basil gives the Major the money to look after for safekeeping. And of course, the next day, the major doesn't remember that Basil's given him the money for safekeeping. Meanwhile, he's instructed Manuel to say, I know nothing about the bet whatsoever. And when asked for differing reasons, this, that, and the other, Manuel just says, well, I know nothing. It's genius. The farce and the construction is fantastic. The cast, Adam Jackson Smith takes on the unplayable role of Basil Fawlty. And he nails it. As I say, he nails it better than he manages to fix a moose's head to the hotel wall. He is brilliant. He captures the timing, the voice, the lugubrious limb movements. He's brilliant. If you didn't think it was possible to replicate John Cleese as Basil Fawlty, think again. Alongside him, Anna Jane Casey as Sybil Fawlty, equally wonderful. It took a little while for me to really believe in her as Sybil, but I have to say, after not too long into the show, her mannerisms, oh, I know, her voice, it works perfectly. Playing Polly is, and just let me quickly look at my notes, Victoria Fox also captures the essence of Connie Booth brilliantly. And a chappie who I'd not come across on stage, a actor called Hemi Yeraham, takes on the role of Manuel. All of these character actors are taking roles that have been literally immortalized on the small screen 50 years ago, but they make them their own, but still in ways that we can completely recognize. And for me, the biggest surprise of the night was Paul Nicholas, yes, him, rock star hero of years ago and stunning heartthrob, playing the Dottie Major. Paul Nicholas as the Major is just brilliant. Obviously, he's not as young as he once was, and I think they've slapped a very well done bald wig on him. Talking of wigs, Sybil's wig is fantastic. The wig on Sybil Fawlty deserves an Olivier Award all of its own. And the programme credited Campbell Young Associates for that wig design. It is sensational. But the cast cannot be faulted. The script is well written. The acting is gorgeous. And the comedy is split second timing. I should also mention Rachel Eisen, who plays Mrs. Richards. She popped up in an episode as the woman who's hard of hearing and who wants with a room with a view. And Basil wonderfully says, well, what did you expect? The Hanging Gardens of Babylon were in Torquay. Rachel Eisen, also another gem of a
Jonathan, do they put it all into one cohesive thing, or is it episodic? It's
not episodic. They put it into a cohesive thing.
Oh, it's great. That's hard to do. That's really hard to do.
As I say, Cleese has done Cleese has done a fabulous adaptation. It's a work of art. The adaptation is a work of art in itself, particularly as all of us of a certain age who know the episodes inside out and back to front.
Yeah.
He's woven them nicely. Sometimes you can see the seams, but they don't jar. It's smooth, and it really is. I went cynically. I sat down in my seat in the stalls, and I said to myself, okay, bring it on. Let's see what you've got here, because I went as a cynic. I left. I was absolutely sobbing with laughter.
It's really interesting. When I saw that they were bringing this to the West End stage, I thought this is a terrible mistake. That shows why John Cleese was a multimillionaire and I wasn't. I thought this is going to be really hard. And like you, I would have gone with, oh, you're treading on history and it's sacred territory. And we know all the words. And I'm thrilled that it's worked out so well. Bravo.
It's booking until the end of September. Oh. If you want theatre to just go and lift you out of life's misery, this show will do that.
Yes,
because it's gorgeous.
Which theatres? Where's it on?
Oh, it's on the Apollo on Shaftesbury Avenue.
Okay.
So smack in the heart of the West End.
Okay. So I guess Brexit didn't spoil that then, JB.
Far from it.
Referring to another of Jonathan's reviews.
Anyway, moving on from the West End to Hammersmith, and from comedy to a stand-up comic. And this brings me on to Eddie Izzard's Hamlet, which is a solo performance at the Hammersmith Riverside Studios, running now until the end of June. And I enjoy Hamlet. It's one of my favorite Shakespeare plays, and I'm always interested to see how it's interpreted differently by different performers. So, but in this instance, with earrings, with acrylics, heels, and skin-tight leather trousers, it's clear that Eddie Izzard's take on the Prince of Denmark appears to be at least as much asserting the actor's femininity as it is about interpreting one of Shakespeare's most enigmatic characters. It's a solo turn, as I said, and it lasts for, nigh on 2.5 hours with interval. And for sure, it's a display of physical stamina and fortitude, undoubtedly. But Izzard's performance comes across as more about ticking the boxes of doing a Hamlet rather than offering any new comment on the play. Izzard's brother, Mark, has chopped up the script. Well, he hasn't chopped it up, but he has cut an awful lot of it. Sometimes I think a little clumsily. And it won't offer you, this show will not offer you anything new into Shakespeare. Izzard's background in stand-up comedy does serve the performance well. There's a famous gravedigger scene in Hamlet, which gives rise to the immortal "Alas, poor Yorick" line. And that dialogue, to be fair, Izzard handles well, and the comedy works. But where you then get the audience laughing at other points in the show, particularly in the sword fight, and trying to portray a sword fight on stage with one actor, is a challenge that I have to say I think is beyond the talents of Izzard. If Izzard's celebrity status did not exist, I think it's hard to imagine this Hamlet commanding much box office success. Interestingly, it's come from America, where it was extended and extended and extended in an off-Broadway run. So, hey-ho. But it's on, as I say, until the end of June. If you're curious about seeing a different type of Hamlet, then by all means, wander along. But if you're looking for a interesting insight into one of Shakespeare's most famous plays, to be honest, I don't think there's a lot to interest you here.
I have to say that is an exceptionally, wasn't what I was expecting, kind and benevolent review. I've always read reviews since I was a kid. They fascinate me. And the Evening Standard, I have never, ever read a review like it in my life. If they could have given it less than 1 star, if there was like minus stars, they would have done it. Man, it eviscerated this show. And it didn't hold back. It just went for its throat, and hated every second of it. It was absolutely a scorching review. I mean,
and in fact, Nick, who wrote the review, sort of signed it off, recognizing that he was in fact a fan of Izzard.
Yes,
so
imagine if you didn't like it. Well, I'm not a fan. Well, I used to be. I used to be a fan. Many years ago, I thought Izzard was touched with genius at times. I mean, the shtick he used to do about going into the canteen on the Death Star and not getting the right, or just inspired. But since then, not my cup of tea. Wild Horses wouldn't drag me to see this under any circumstances. But you were very kind. Bless you.
And I think you can see the strengths that Izzard has gained from his stand-up performance. From Izzard's stand-up performance. And as a person, there's been massive physical endurances that have been displayed in marathon runs, etc., over the years. So there's a lot of energy that is brought to the role. But as I say, it's a Hamlet that's not one for the history.
As a performer, he's always been brave. I remember when he did his stand-up in French. French is not his first language, and because he was such a Europhile. Do you remember that? He went over to France and did the whole show in French, because Yeah.
But I think
Wow.
the program notes actually speak that Izzard does possess a number of languages. So there's a lot of grey matter there. There's a lot of cerebral stuff, but a massive Shakespearean role.
But that's not what. But JB, that's not what the punter is getting off their backside, buying a ticket and dragging themselves over to the theatre to see. They don't care. They want to see.
Well, they are. They were in New York.
New York.
They lapped it up in New York.
New York. It's, as you know, we both separately went to see the Tim Rice touring show, which was one of the best things I've ever seen. And you will recall, Jonathan, Tim saying how some things took off in America and came here, nothing, and some things were like a big hit here. Oh, it's going to be great, he'd say. It went to America, died on its ass. So it's New York is not the same as London. We think it is.
Indeed.
It is. It's not. It's very different.
Indeed. Now, hopefully, Mr. Producer, you can tell me we have a guest.
No, we don't. No, we don't. We do not.
We don't.
We do not. There's you, and there's me, and there's my dog, who's asleep.
Right. Okay. Well, let me anyway speak.
I never liked her. What's she ever done for you?
While we briefly, for tonight, I'm off to the National to see Boys from the Black Stuff.
Oh,
an adaptation, of course, of Alan Bleasdale's brilliant. Again, you know, we're looking at television from 40, 50 years ago.
God,
Alan,
is it that long?
I think it has to be. It has to be, with the late great Bernard Hill as Yosser Hughes. Give us a job. It was brutal in its dissection of Thatcher's England. And as television and as drama, it was fantastic. Very different to Fawlty Towers, which also was brilliant television. So tonight, the play is written by the adaptation has been written by James Graham. As I say, I know nothing about it.
I'm going to interrupt this exciting Boys in the Black Stuff because one of my favorite people on the planet has just turned up.
Fantastic.
Jonathan arranged all of this because I've been stuck in bed for a week. But I just want to say, some people you meet in showbiz, and you think they're going to, and Jonathan will agree, you think they're going to be lovely because publicly they're lovely, and you meet them and they're absolute freaking monsters. But I've known this character for I don't know how long, and she's like one of the nicest, most fantastic, and watching her career arc has been an absolute joy and a privilege, and it's Jonathan's guess, not mine, because as I said, I've just about made it to the bathroom every day. Ladies and gentlemen, Cassidy Jansen. There she is. Let's put. There we go. It's much better.
Let me.
Yeah, you're on now. That's you.
Okay.
You're on now, Cassidy Jansen.
Hi. Oh, you don't sound very well.
Oh, really? You think? Anyway, never mind. Go on,
Firstly,
Jonathan.
Cassidy, good afternoon. Lovely to have you with us. I'm still wondering how Russ managed to get his tongue around the phrase career arc
but there you go. That's
without embarrassing anyone whatsoever.
Well, it wouldn't embarrass Cassidy.
Indeed.
Take a bit more.
Remarkable career arc and a remarkable performance. Because as I say, I wanted to do this morning slot with starting and finishing with two shows that were absolutely gorgeous. The first one of those was Fawlty Towers that we've just spoken about. And now, of course, we're on to talk about a review of the songs written by Jerry Herman across a range of his shows, drawn from a range of his shows. And the review is called Jerry's Girls. And this is currently on at the Midday, and it's running also only until the end of June. And it is an absolutely gorgeous, lose yourself in beauty evening of songs from musical theatre. There's no complicated story that you need to follow or lose yourself in or be brought to tears by or laughter. The songs all speak for themselves. And if ever there was a definition of that musical theatre phrase of acting through song, these three women are Cassidy, really well supported by her two fellow artistes, I hope I pronounce this correctly, Julie Yamini.
Yeah.
I hope that's a correct pronunciation. And Jessica Martin.
Yes.
And
oh no, Jonathan, you pronounce it Jessica Martin.
Thank you.
That's a fact.
So the songs there, the big Jerry Herman numbers that you know from Hello Dolly, from La Cage aux Folles, they're all in there. I'm not going to talk any more about the show. I'm going to ask Cassidy just to tell me what it's like to be doing those songs.
Oh gosh, it's a thrill. We were saying in rehearsals, you sort of open the score and you're like, oh, because obviously we're familiar with the big hits like Hello Dolly and all of the kind of classic ones that we know, that, you know, the La Cage aux Folles, the Parade Passes By. But there was a song called Song on the Sand, and we were like, never heard of this one. And then the melody the few intro chords start, and you're like, oh, that's lovely. And then the melody starts, and you're like, my goodness, like he wrote such exquisite melodies. And we were saying no one writes like that anymore, with these really strong melodies. So it's an absolute thrill to sing them every night, particularly with Julie Yamini and Jessica Martin. There's a bit where we sing 3-part harmony together, and it's just a joy. It makes me so happy on the inside singing this stuff.
I mean, you yourself, you've got a lovely take on I Won't Send Roses from Mac and Mabel, which is just it's not a big song. It's a soft song. It's a strong song. Tell me about bringing that song to the stage without the show all around it.
Yeah, so originally it's sung by a man in Mac and Mabel, and I think it was in the early 1980s, this review, Jerry's Girls Review, was originally done. And so they made quite a few male songs into female songs. So this is that version. And it's so funny. Like, I was talking to Hannah Tizick, our lovely director, and I was like, because we're trying to bring like the era of the 1940s and 50s to the stage. And I said, I think my character would smoke. Like, I think she, like someone in that theatre, because people smoked in those days, you know, everywhere. So she's like, all right. So we sort of put her smoking a sort of solo cigarette, pondering the memory of when she was younger, and this man that she sort of has this sort of very unusual relationship with. And we sort of did this very, I mean, you probably wouldn't even know that from how I'm singing it, but that's the through story of my journey in that song. And I love singing it. And I love singing Bugle Boy, or If He Walked Into My Life, and Act 2 as well. I love how they're really written for the alto voice.
Yeah, I mean, you're also given the big responsibility of the Act 1 closer of The Best of Times, which again is a blast of a song. It's a joy. You send everyone out for their gin and tonics with just a grin. The only way to describe it. And in fact, sticking with La Cage aux Folles, the 3-part work that you all do in the second half with I Am What I Am, again, one just sits there. I had tingles up my spine listening to it, because you're just taking these songs and delivering them so wonderfully. And I think, you know, Jerry Herman, I think, as you said, he understands the human, or he understood, obviously, he's sadly no longer with us. He understood the human condition so well. And one of those rare creatures like Sondheim, he wrote the music as well. You know, Tim Rice, who we just touched upon, genius lyricist, but having to work alongside the composers to get the tunes to fit. Though I have to say he's done that very well over the years, done it brilliantly.
Well, so he can do anything.
But also a good sorry, Cassidy,
Yeah, I was saying about Jerry Herman and his lyrics, and you sort of saying he understands the human condition. And also he was writing, you know, for the homosexual gay voice in an era where you couldn't weren't really allowed to do that, and he did a hilarious take with it on the Casual Fort. And also he wrote unapologetically for female ambition and strong women, again very ahead of his time. So yes, we cheer for the Jerry Hermans of this world.
And indeed, you know, you look at Dolly, who's I love the way you'd updated Jerry's Girls at the end to include Imelda Staunton coming along to the Palladium with Hello Dolly in a few weeks, because, you know, Dolly, and of course Dolly features, of course, in your show.
Yeah.
And that's another brilliant creation by Jerry Herman, looking at Thornton Wilder's story and really exploring the complexities to Dolly Levi, the tragedy that's in her life of widowhood, as well as the comedy that she brings to the glorious comedy that she brings. And Herman really mixes that up well. And to be honest, I'm hard pressed to think of a composer that mixes tragedy and comedy quite as well. I'm happily open to be challenged on this or suggestions.
I'm gonna go with Bobby Crush. I think that would be I'm gonna tell. Well, first of all, please get that phone, and I'm in a meeting.
I'll try to.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hello, Jonathan Baz. Can I help you? Cassidy, first of all, congratulations. I'm so thrilled for you. But I have to take this opportunity to tell my favorite Cassidy Jansen story, having known you for quite a while. For those of you who go to West End musicals, one of the best, and it ran forever, deservedly, was the Carole King musical, Beautiful, which we were all thrilled, all friends of Cassidy were thrilled when she got the leading role to portray Carole King. And so I go along one night with my mate Hilary O'Neill, and we go back to see Cassidy, and we're yakking away in the dressing room. And I said, what would happen if, Carole King came in to see the show? And she said, well, she might. I remember this so clearly, right? She said, she might, but if we knew that Carole King was in the audience, we'd all go to bits. We wouldn't be, do you remember you said we wouldn't be able to perform? Right, because Carole King would, because, you know, if you're sitting there and you're portraying the person who's sitting watching you, and it's Carole King, that's a hell of a thing. So I said, well, it'd be nice for you to meet her at least, right? So one day, excuse me, Carole King comes in and goes back to see Cassidy, and it's a wonderful moment, obviously, because you're thrilled. There's your idol. And I had said to you, do you think you'd ever perform with her? And he went, oh, that's like kind of look, what's going to happen to me? Carole King and Carole King performed in Hyde Park to something like 60,000 people. Who's doing a duet with her on stage? Ladies and gentlemen, Cassidy Jansen. You couldn't make it up. How fantastic was that moment, eh?
It was amazing. It was amazing. Sorry.
Did you pinch yourself and go, wow?
I had a bit of a moment because I'd been so nervous, you know, like that we were going to sing together in Hyde Park, and I was just, and I think I'd done a sequence of quite big events beforehand, and I was getting so nervous because they were like live and recorded for all the events. I was like, oh my god! And then what would happen was I'd not really enjoy the performance, and then afterwards go, oh, that went really well, oh wow, that was amazing, and realizing that I was getting to this habit of not enjoying the actual event that I spent my whole career, my whole life going, I want to do these huge big events because they look like they'd be fun. So then I was standing side of stage about to go on to sing a duet with Carole King, the living legend, and I've been so like nervous, like for the few days coming, well, weeks, but like more and more intensely worried about the performance up until I walked on the stage. And this sudden voice came from nowhere, went, Cass, you better enjoy this, otherwise what's the point? What's the point? You know, and I just went, yeah. And then I went on, and actually, if anyone ever watches the clip, I'm grinning from ear to ear, dancing my little head off.
I've watched it several times. You are looking very happy, and it goes to show that it's not. Oh, don't please! If the dog sees that, it's going to kick off. It goes to show, with most things in life, it's not the arrival. It's not the destination. It's the journey, because you can get to your destination as you did, doing the ultimate, singing on stage with Carole King in front of God knows how many people. But you want to enjoy that moment. Otherwise, what's the point of doing it at all? You know, takes it all away.
Yeah, and I think we live on our edge trying to be perfect now as well, because of like the intense pressure of social media. Everything's filmed all the time, even a private event, and it puts a lot of pressure on performers to be absolutely, you know, almost sing as perfectly as you would in a studio, and it's impossible. And it's sort of being able to do both things, which is like accept that that's happening and also allow yourself the freedom of enjoying it. And they're quite tricky, and it's a balance that I don't always make nowadays, to be honest. Sometimes you're just like,
but I'm going to ask you and Jonathan, and then I must let you both go. Don't you think that when you go to see a performance of whatever it is, if the people that you're watching aren't enjoying it themselves, it translates to the audience and they enjoy the experience less because it becomes mechanical?
can do.
Yeah.
Not
Jonathan?
always.
I mean, for me, I guess that's the hallmark of a good actor, because a good actor has got to turn up on stage. They might be enjoying the show. They might have received devastating personal news that day, and still the show goes on, while in their hearts they may be thinking, oh God, I want to be out of this theatre and on the train going home to deal with whatever personal aspect of my life or my family's life is going on. So, and I've known that and I've seen that, and I think it's a mark of the if you do see you know, when you see glorious smiles when they're taking their bows, it's nice to think they're genuine. I hope they are.
They're actors.
Well, quite. And I think the essence is it's for the actors to make you believe that they are committed to that role. And I have to say, whenever I've seen Cassidy do anything, I've never doubted the commitment of what I'm seeing from curtain up to curtain down. It's just gorgeous professionalism.
But and I agree. And further riffing on that, I think it's very easy for people that look at our jobs. They go, "Oh, that looks like fun. That looks, look you having fun on stage 8 shows a week." And I want to explain to people something, which is, yes, the days that you're in a good mood and you're rested and you're getting on with the cast and there's no like internal politics, yeah, it's great. But the days when, like you're sort of saying, something tragic might have happened in your personal life, you might have had an argument with your fellow cast member, or there's politics coming down from the producers, or many reasons that you do not feel like smiling and dancing and singing and connecting and opening yourself up. Imagine asking someone, right, you've just had the biggest bereavement of your life, right, go out in front of the 2,000 people and entertain them. That's the work. That's not fun. That's really, really hard work, and not many people could do that. And I think it's very easy to look at what we do and think, oh, that looks fun, lucky them, and be dismissive. It's not. It's incredibly hard work,
It is hard work, Cass, but you're not down a coal mine. And I'm not being rude when I say that. If you're going to have, you're not down a, you're not.
I'm saying it's very hard.
Digging for uranium. Yeah, of course it's hard. Of course it's hard. But that's why.
I agree with you.
In relation there.
Yes, but that's why that's the difference between a professional and someone who's amusing in a pub. A professional can do that. A professional puts their private life for those 2 hours to one side and has to, and you will never know. Yeah. And anybody who's not a professional could not do that. And so Russ, your point, Cassidy, is absolutely right.
I've never performed. I'll be brief because I know we've gone past the half-hour mark. But I'm, my son's a performer. I've seen him in pantomime. Russ, pantomime. Yeah. It's not the same as being down a uranium mine, for heaven's sake. You're not going to get radiation sickness. But when you're doing 3 shows on Boxing Day, for example,
tell me about it.
That's that's commitment. That is real hard slog. Full stop. Whether it's driving a bus, digging out coal, or doing 3 shows on Boxing Day or whatever it may be, it's all bloody hard work done by incredibly professional people in whatever job they happen to be doing.
And really quickly, another analogy is, when people say you don't work very long hours, I say you don't say to a marathon runner, "Oh, you've only run 2 hours." You go,
no, it's nonsense. It's a nonsense, of course. But people don't understand that, and they want to see it in a very facile way. And they haven't got a clue. But why would they have a clue?
Give them the escapism. That's kind of what we do it for. Is like let these people have some escapism from their lives as well. So there's so many different facets to why and what we do these things for.
So anyway, Jerry's Girls at the Midday till the end of June. Yeah. It's lovely. Just go along and enjoy. That's all I can say.
Before we let you go, congratulations on another hit. Please give my love to the wonderful Jessica Martin.
I already did. I did last night. Yeah.
She's fantastic. Her one when she did her one-woman show, Crazy Cox. I mean, I've known her for years, but it was terrific. Well, you're such a talented team. What brilliant casting. Cassidy, we will see you soon. Thank you so much for coming on the Midday Show.
Thanks
Lots
so
of
much.
love. Have a wonderful run.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Which leaves you, Mr. Jonathan Baz. Hang on, I'll do it the other way around. Because Waiting in the Wings is the highlight of the week. Jonathan, thank you. You're not Cassidy Jansen. That's ridiculous. What are we talking about? Right. Oh, God. Right. Listen, thank you so much. Really, really, really appreciate it. Please take care. Thank you for
you. I wish
work.
you well.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going straight back to bed after this. All right. Bye-bye. Bye, JB. Jonathan Baz. It's funny, I didn't know at all. Then we started working together. He's become a pal. He's a really lovely, lovely guy. Right. Talking of wonderful things. Hang on a minute. I'm a bit slow today. Forgive me. A week ago. No, just over. Yeah, was it? Yeah. Yeah. This time a week ago. It was somebody's birthday. I went over, had a wonderful birthday party. And that's kind of the last thing that I did before I collapsed. Ladies and gentlemen, you know her. You love her. She is the hostess with the mostess. Her salmon is magnificent. Her couscous, the talk of West London. What did I like? Oh, yeah, and the Otto Lengi tomato salad to die for. I nearly did. Ladies and gentlemen, Chantal Rickards. Hang on. No one will see me. I'll see you. There we go. Jeez.
I hope it wasn't my food that's laid you low for a week. Right?
No, it was no, not at all. This is the weirdest thing. And of course, sod's law. I've had to apologize yet again to Nick and Diane. I was meant to be there for dinner. It's the third time. I hope they think that. Well, you can see. I just the thought of even getting in the car is beyond me. No, it was nothing. I don't know what the hell. Anyway, listen. Thank you so much.
Are you better though? Are you properly better or not?
No, not at all.
Not quite.
Straight back to bed after this. I'm done. I'm absolutely done. Here's the thing. No, in a load of people have got the same thing. It's some new mutated virus thing, and the thing about it is each day something. When I say it's mutating, it's like, well, wait a minute, I felt better yesterday, and what the hell's this today? And you know me, I can't bear being idle, and I've had to cancel everything. I've had a packed week this week.
Do you think it might be COVID?
Yeah, I think it's a COVID variant. I actually do think it, because I've completely lost my sense of taste. And don't say because of my hair and my clothes. I know that. I saved you the gag. But yes. And interestingly, talking of all things films, one of your guests, who I'm not going to say who it is, got chatting.
Yes.
And said, I'd love to make your book into a movie. And I went, okay.
Oh, wow.
Fair enough. I didn't have time to tell you this. So I sent this particular guest,
yes,
who was with rather a famous other half, the book. I know it is.
Yeah.
And I sent the book, and I said, okay, we can talk. We can talk about it.
Very interesting.
And now, what was I going to say?
I'm going to cut myself in for a 5% facilitation fee.
You're more than welcome. Fine. What was I going to say? I've been watching something.
I
Oh
don't
yeah, I got a quick film, a very quick film.
Okay,
Because
good.
I can't. All I can do is sort of sit
It's
up
just lie
and
there.
watch. Yeah, and lie there like a lump. And it's an odd film. It's half English, half Italian, which makes it kind of nice.
Okay.
It stars Dustin Hoffman, and it's called Into the Labyrinth. And if you like really quirky, oh, I didn't see that coming. Oh, what's going on now?
Oh.
Into the Labyrinth. It's tucked away somewhere on Amazon. It's free. I really enjoyed it. And if you want, it was fun.
And what is it? A contemporary drama?
Yeah, it's a contemporary drama about someone. Top line is a girl is kidnapped, and hey, 15 years later, she turns up.
Oh.
And Dustin Hoffman is the psychiatrist doctor trying to work out what's going on with this.
Okay.
She's now 15 years older, obviously, in
Yeah.
the hospital. And if I can save you, Chantal, because you are so hospitable and lovely, if I can save you 2 hours of your life, there's a new Jennifer Lopez film, which is on Netflix, called Atlas. I'd rather have this COVID bug again than sit through 1 minute of that utter garbage. Anyway, there we are.
I just love the idea that you've been lying at home in bed watching J-Lo movies. That's too funny.
That shows the state of my life at the moment. God.
Oh dear, poor you. I'm too
Never mind.
sorry.
No, you know what? I feel bad because I've been inundated very sweetly with so many lovely messages, and so many people have got this, and some are just thinking, well, I've got stuff to do. I got to bounce through, and some people, unbelievably, are a little bit older than me and really taking a hammering. So I wish them, send love, and I wish them well. And everyone's been so lovely. Oh, yes. Bodkin, Graham Pack. I finished watching Bodkin this week. That was thanks to you.
Yeah.
And I saw a wonderful comment about Bodkin, which was directed at you, which said, yes, Russ, I watched it as well and enjoyed it. But my wife is Irish and was going mad at some of the Irish tropes that the Irish dialogue was doing. But if you're not Irish,
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm shutting up. Over to you.
Right. Oh, well, excellent. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed Bodkin. Well, I've got something very quirky this week, and it takes you by surprise because you think it's going to be something, and then it turns out to be something completely different. And everybody's talking about it because it's a brand new television series with Benedict Cumberbatch in the lead, called Eric, which is, a good enough title, I suppose, for a drama.
It's not Eric Clapton.
No.
It's another
but
matter.
Before I tell you about Eric, do you remember a 1950 movie called Harvey?
Of course, with Jimmy Stewart and the Imaginary Rabbit. I saw it. More than that, because I had, as a kid, I wanted to do a box ticking of people I wanted to see. Jimmy Stewart appeared in the West End.
Wow.
And I went as a kid, took myself along.
Yeah.
Took myself along because I wanted to say to myself, I've seen Jimmy Stewart on stage, which I did.
Amazing.
With, and it was great. It was lovely.
Well, how fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, hold the thought of Harvey the 6-foot rabbit in your mind. Okay. And then I'll take you to 1980s New York for this brand new drama, right. Where Benedict Cumberbatch plays the part of a puppeteer. And he's in a television series. He creates the puppetry behind the television series. It's a bit like sort of a Sesame Street style of program.
Okay.
But he's very arty. He's troubled. He drinks too much. He's desperately trying to find a new character to put into this ensemble cast of puppets, because otherwise the networks possibly aren't going to take it any longer. So there's a bit of jeopardy built in right at the beginning. And then you see his home life, nice wife, but clearly there's trouble at mill, 9-year-old son who equally is artistic like his father and tries to sort of help him dream up new puppets for this television series. And then suddenly, and you're thinking, oh, this is it's a drama about puppetry and something, something, something. And then suddenly the child disappears on his way to school.
What?
And you think,
The child,
okay,
hang on,
so
whoa,
now
whoa,
this is about a sort of whodunit, and we're going to try.
Oh my God. Ooh,
Yeah, the child disappears.
okay.
And then suddenly it's something else again, because the character that Vincent, who's the hero, is working on, suddenly appears as a 7-foot character in his imagination, but it shares the screen with him effectively. So you get that sort of Harvey moment where Cumberbatch is talking to something that probably isn't there. And the idea is, the sort of conceit is that he decides that he's got to create this new puppet, because wherever his son is, if his son sees the puppet, he will know how to find his way home. I mean, it's a bit convoluted, but then the story flips again. And so you don't quite know which way it's going. I've watched the first 2.5 episodes and I've really enjoyed it. Cumberbatch is brilliant.
He's always good, isn't he?
Characters really well. 1980s New York is great. There's a fantastically well played role that is the copper who is looking for this child, who's an actor whose work I don't know terribly well, but my God, he holds the screen. It's absolutely brilliant. And he's got a complicated love life at home with a partner who's dying of AIDS. And so there are a lot of different themes that are all coming out of nowhere to this complicated but really interesting 6-part drama called Eric. Now, Eric is on Netflix.
Oh, good.
A lot of money spent on it. I mean, it looks really good on screen. And I'm hoping that the last 3 episodes are as good as the first 3 episodes. But it definitely takes a circuitous route. You're not quite sure whether, is this just a whodunit? Is the child coming back? Or is this actually a much bigger story about other things? Anyway, I'll leave it.
Do you know what? I'm utterly intrigued. I love it. I'm intrigued because now I'm thinking, ooh, because I like it when it's multifaceted. Oh, I can save you another hour and a half.
Oh, yeah.
I say these things because Netflix and Amazon, they pump it out as though it's really great. And then you start to watch it and you think, I'm just gonna shoot myself. It's called one million. I was just watching it on my laptop last night. 1 Million Days, it's called. And I love science fiction. Jeez. It felt like I'd watched
it felt like 1 million days.
It felt like 1 million days. I know what the hell. Just don't. I mean, just don't.
Right, I'll avoid that then.
Save yourself the aggravation. Okay, oh, look at this Julie voice. Here we go. What is this? I do like bendy knees, brandy snap. He's a fantastic actor, isn't he? He's a wonderful actor.
He's
so varied. He never plays. It's not like if you see De Niro, then it's always De Niro, right? Remember he's playing, it's De Niro, right? That's why you like the movie. But with Benedict Cumberbatch, you never know what he's going to play. And it's always brilliantly different. Fantastic.
And he's an actor, I think, who pushes himself. A lot of actors know their lane and they stay in their lane. Sure. Whereas I think you get the impression that Cumberbatch is not that person. He's constantly pushing at the edges and trying to do new things with his voice and his body and his intelligence and his general, on-screen persona. Just changes each time, which I like. I mean, and that's great in an actor.
If you compare like Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, if you're going to do it, he did it well. If you're going to do that sort of nonsense, which it's fine. And you compare that to him playing Greville Wynn. And I can't remember the name of you remember he played the spy? That was a fantastic film. And your favorite word, which you always say to me if ever I pitch anything to you, is jeopardy. I don't mean the show, Jeopardy. If you're watching the one about when he's playing Greville Wynn, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Because when it goes wrong so badly.
Yeah.
And you really feel for him.
Yeah.
Amazing. A great actor.
He's good. Anyways, it's really worth watching. It's the sort of thing that I think we'll see at awards season this time next year. And lots of people talking about whether Benedict will get an Emmy or a BAFTA.
That'd be good.
I think it's good. I mean, I think it's going to be really good. So I'm keeping my
Oh,
fingers crossed.
okie dokie. I can
the
start
end.
that. I can start that today.
Good. Okay, there you go.
Nothing else.
Oh dear. Right, well, I'll give you another documentary to watch. Oh, poor you.
No, carry on.
No?
Carry on.
Okay.
Carry on.
I'll give you a documentary to watch on the BBC. It's a 4-parter. Probably should have been a 2-parter. It's a bit woolly, but it is a really good story. And the sort of headline is Imposter. And then the rest of the title is The Man Who Came Back from the Dead, which of course is a great grabby title. You think, oh gosh, I really want to watch that.
Yes.
Now, I'd already watched a documentary about this bloke, and I think I'd heard a podcast about him too. He's as mad as a box of frogs, quite clearly. Right. And I don't think I'm going to get sued for saying that. He is now, I think, 36, something like that. He grew up in Rhode Island. He went under 11 assumed names, but was most well known as somebody called Nicholas Rossi, who starts out as a sort of local government appointee, but tells everybody he's been to Harvard. Clearly, he hasn't been to Harvard. Has some very inappropriate relationships with women whereby he is accused of sexual impropriety. Okay. And then effectively he goes on the run and ends up, first of all, in Bristol and then in Edinburgh, and denies that he is this person called Nicholas Rossi. So for 2 or 3 years, he's been holding the FBI at arm's length by just saying, no, I'm not this person at all. And it all comes down to, is it his DNA? Can they get the original person's DNA to match it to this man who continues to say that he's not Nicholas Rossi, he's Arthur Knight. But that is just one of 11 names. But and then suddenly he's married to a British woman who believes absolutely everything that she is told by this man, knowing that the FBI and the British authorities and the Scottish courts are all going, you're completely wrong. He's this original chap, Nicholas Rossi. It's quite a well-known story, and it's been put into documentary form for the BBC. And if you like a sort of a good mystery in terms of what you can't believe what's happening, because it just gets madder and madder and madder, but it finishes right where the story finishes, as it were, 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago. So it's right up to date. So I'm not going to spoil it by telling you what happens at the end, because it's played out like a thriller. But it's a good documentary because it's just a ripping yarn that you can't believe, but it's all completely and utterly true.
How weird is that?
I know, completely odd. And when he's pretending not to be the person, Nicholas Rossi, he wears this a mask with a breathing tank, an oxygen tank the whole time. You can't quite see his face and you can't quite hear his voice. Honestly, it's so bonkers, but if you just want a couple of bonkers hours, watch that.
Jeez, what the hell?
I know, but it's been quite a well-known case. So a lot of people might have heard of it already, and it's been all over the press. But it's a well-made.
When you discuss these things, that was on the BBC, right? When you discuss these things, and you every week or every other week or so, you bring up some documentary about somebody who's completely mad as a box of frogs, and they've got away with it for years. You think, how? But it's not uncommon, is it? It's an extraordinary thing about life that you can be an absolute, complete lunatic liar. And everyone's going, yeah, that sounds legit.
I know.
Seems fine to me.
There are a lot of fantasists out there. I have such an ordinary life by comparison.
I like ordinary lives. Ordinary lives is.
I don't need to make up. It's just bizarre. It's a great story.
Yeah. Oh, they're very good. Graham, close, but you got to do a bit better than that. Anyway, what else has come across your purview?
Okay, so there's a very interesting actress, British actress, who was in Game of Thrones, which of course I never saw. Shame on me.
Oh, no, well,
called-
that means you missed the last season, and you did
I
yourself a
missed it all.
huge favour.
Okay,
A
missed it all.
huge favour.
Yes, I hear the last season wasn't as good as
It
the.
sucked.
Had I watched it, I would have known the work of an actress called Charlotte Hope, who is appearing in a very good drama series made in South Africa, whereby she plays the part of a clinical psychologist who is attached to the police.
Like that.
It's based on the true story of this woman whose real name was Mickey Pistorius. And Charlotte Hope plays this character, and she is attached to the police in, I think it's starts in Johannesburg Johannesburg in 1994, where clinical psychologists were barely even considered as part of a team of police detectives. It's on Alibi, which I think is on most people's British television
It's on
feeds.
Now. That's a Now channel. If you've got Now.
If you've got Now
you
or
can
Sky
catch it.
or UK TV, any of the UK channels, you will find Alibi. It's called Catch Me a Killer, and it's an 11-part stories, and each of the stories is actually about murders that took place in South Africa during those first 2 or 3 years that this woman was attached to the police. What's really interesting, it's not so much a whodunit, it's just that you find out actually quite quickly who the perpetrator is, but then it's about uncovering what's underneath them.
Ooh, Columbo style.
It is. It's a very different take on a police show. It's not a police procedural in the normal way that you would expect it, because you get the answer quite quickly, but then lots more unravels afterwards. So I think it's really good. I've enjoyed it. I've now watched, I think, 7 of the 11 episodes. So I'm watching them in the gym. When I go to the gym every evening, I watch yet another episode, and it gets me through.
Hang on.
1 hour in the gym.
Whoa. You go to the gym every evening.
I do.
This explains so much. And when you're there, you're able. What? How are you doing this?
And no, well, I'm on one of those sort of walking travelators, cuddly toy, one of those walking machines.
Little fondue set.
Yeah,
they what the hell they God, my brain, Jesus. What are they called?
My iPad, and I've got my
And you watch a show. Wow.
Yeah.
You're allowed to walk in streets, by the way. We're not back in Los Angeles. You can walk in the street.
I know, but I can't watch the telly at the same time.
You can, but you keep bumping into people, which they wouldn't even notice. I think in London, you could walk down with a 50-inch TV watching it. And go, yes, okay, then why not?
No, but this way round, I can find some shows to tell you about.
Oh, that's an amazing thing. And you go to the gym, because every woman now watching this is going, oh, that explains that.
I don't think
no wonder. Oh, I get it. That's how she looks. Look at that. Damn it. Every night. God.
Yeah. Well, it keeps me off the streets. So that. Oh, dear.
Right. It is an amazing thing. There is some very good TV and stuff out there. And boy, oh boy, is there some trash. Just.
Yeah.
And I never understand, and I always speak to Colin Vaines, who produced some huge films and will and still is. I don't know how these things get made. It's a miracle to me. I just don't understand who thinks, you've got to persuade so many people to put so much money in and go to a lot of effort for trash. Just trash. Last question. Britain's Got Talent, which again, I'd rather have another COVID variant than watch it. But why is it on a tube? It's like every time I wander past the television, it seems, what is it, on every night, like Coronation Street or something?
Well, I don't know. I haven't checked it out. I will have to look it up in the listings and see. Is it going out every night at the moment?
I don't know if it's every night, but it was on I don't know what day it is, Tuesday, I think. And everyone's going, well, hang on, it's not the weekend. We've been asleep for a week and it's Saturday.
I can't tell you. I will find out.
There's some, There are some smashing game shows on at the moment, which are really very pleasant to watch. Because the Bradley Walsh, who I could watch, painting a wall, because I think he's hilarious and so talented. Have you ever watched, was it the 1% Club? That's quite fun.
Actually, the 1% Club's jolly good.
It's clever because I can't answer one single question. I
don't believe you.
No. My mind doesn't work like that. I overcomplicate it immediately. Well, you've known me for years. I overcomplicate it, so I get everything wrong. But I love the 1% Club because it just bounces along. And I hate to say it, and I know it's terribly bourgeois, and who cares? The Wheel, that's pretty much fun as well.
Yeah, that's pretty good fun. In fact, last night I went to the wedding of Lloyd Grossman, who you will remember.
Lloyd's got married?
He did.
No.
I worked with him on Through the Keyhole.
Was everything covered? Everything was covered in one of his sauces.
No,
you had a choice at the mushroom sauce, the tomato sauce. Oh, bless him! How lovely.
Food. So yeah, but I spent the whole.
Thanks to you, somewhere or other, I sat next to him at dinner, and we had a lovely chat. He was a charming man.
Oh, very good.
Well, nice fellow.
It's Through the Keyhole is still my Saturday job, as I call it. So I still look after it. But a lot of people were really curious about it because I was sort of introducing myself to various people and go, well, how do you fit in, and how do you know Lloyd? And of course, it goes back nearly 4 decades since we first started working together. But,
wow.
Anyway,
is he well? Because everyone now will say, why didn't you ask her if she was well? Is he well?
Fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, great.
I think if anybody's interested, they can see the pictures in the Daily Mail today of his wedding at Chelsea Registry Office.
Oh, fantastic. And there was something afterwards, presumably. There was a little...
Yeah, I didn't go to the registry office, but I did go to the party they held last night, which was lovely.
How smashing. Well, I think after a difficult week, it's lovely to end up with happy news.
Indeed.
Chantal, thank you so much. Apologies to your dear friends that I've let them down for the 3rd time running. I can only apologize.
Not at all. We will see you soon, I'm sure.
I hope so. Chantal, thank you for gracing us with your fabulousness. And that, my God, is that me? Jeez. That is it for a week. God willing, I'll be back. Not this rate. I'll be back on Monday with Neil Longy Long and the gang. Until then, have a nice weekend. If you've got this thing, I really do wish you well. Rest up and don't do what I do and what I did, which was I thought, yeah, I'm going to take the dog out for a walk, and then got back and collapsed. Don't do that. You've got to be as stupid as me to think that's a good idea. Until we meet again, try and stay out of trouble. Bye-bye, everyone.